One of the iconic views of one of the great racetracks in North America, in fact of the world, Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, where we are staged for the third race of the weekend for the TC America Championship, featuring all three classes, TCR, TCA, and TC. It's round 11 of the championship for TCR and TCA, and round 10 for TC. Welcome to this absolutely spectacular venue on a phenomenal day. I'm Greg Creamer, joined by Calvin Fish, with Ryan Marine, as always, down in the pits and on the grid for us. And Cal, looking at some of these iconic corners, let's take a look at this lap here. Take us around it, would you?
Special place, just over 4 miles in length, very high speed, but you can see that middle sector is working through right there. All about handling, so you need good balance in a race car to get the lap time that you're looking for. But just a wonderful circuit, Greg. Lots of challenges. You really need the car to be very stable, be able to do late braking moves into the downhill runs, down into turn 5, down into turn 8. And these are really the key opportunities to make a move around this circuit. And
it is renowned as big speed, big consequence, old school.
It really is. It's fantastic, and one that all of the drivers love coming back to.
Have a look here at the starting field as they are gridded up and ready to head out behind the Acura NSX, the official safety vehicle of SRO Motorsports America. And again, all three classes are staged there, and got some interesting stories unfolding. And probably the biggest one is Maxon is no longer undefeated.
I know. Came into yesterday's race 9 for 9, went for his 10th straight win while he had technical issues. He also had a car that didn't look to be strong enough to win. He wondered how he got that win on Friday. More circumstantial, and with the yellow at the end of that race really saved his day there. And yesterday all went wrong for him, so he's got a lot of work to do. But great first victory for Scott Smithson. He'll start on the front row alongside Victor Gonzalez, who was leading yesterday. Unfortunately, had a tire go down on him, had to make a pit stop and fix that, so that cost him big points yesterday. But he won here last year. He'll be strong again today, I feel.
You get the feeling that those Alfa Giuliettas can have just a clean run mechanically. They've had speed, so that'll be fun to watch for that. In touring car, it's been pure insanity and great fun, and we expect that to continue.
Well, we had a great 5-car battle there yesterday. Ultimately, James Clay, second win of the weekend. He's looking for a sweep here today. And with that win yesterday, he's now got a 13-point lead in the championship over Johann Schwartz. Schwartz will line up third today. He's got to somehow get around Clay and beat him today and get that buffer down a little bit. But anyone can win. Toby Grahovic will start on the front row alongside James. I feel he had the fastest car yesterday. He was just sitting there and just got out-shuffled at the end. He's looking to rebound here today and maybe grab the first win of the weekend.
And that gentleman, Johann Schwartz, always quick wherever, obviously the defending class champion. In TCA, sort of a similar scenario to TCR, it's been turned on its head.
Yeah, Tyler Gonzalez came in here with a championship lead. He's had a disastrous weekend, as has one of his closest pursuers, Mark Pombo. So both of those drivers need to somehow get some points back on the board here today. What it has done is opened up the door for Kevin Boehm, who has a very fast Honda Civic, and he's just gone unchallenged, really. He's looking for a sweep here today, so the Honda is working very well. He's had potential all season long. It's not like he was gifted those wins this weekend. I think it'd have been tough to beat anyway.
Absolutely. I think you're right, and Jonathan Newcomb has backed that up with his Honda starting outside of the front row in this race. There he is in that 178. Big story is on the left there in that number 25, PJ Gronke. He's had, after a podium in the opening race at COTA, he's had a miserable season, had to miss Sonoma, has come back here. This car is fast here. The handling is superb. He said, we've got a little bit more power. He said, we still lack a little torque, but he said, on an overall lap, we're really good. And then, of course, he had that huge crash in Canada Corner with how when the brakes went. He said he purposely threw it into a spin because he didn't want to just go in fast head on. He said he was scared about it rolling. Amazingly, when it did impact, he told me, car's not that bad. The Tech Sport team think they've got the chassis. It was just bent a little bit. They think they've got it straightened, and that should be fine. And they're confident they got the brake issues taken care of. And he starts on pole again. I mean, he had fast lap before that happened.
Yeah, he's been very quick here this weekend. I'm sure there's going to be a little uncertainty in his head in terms of whether that brake package has been sorted out. As a monster ride that he took, I'm just amazed. We really didn't see the aftermath of that.
Yes.
I thought he wouldn't be on the grid this morning, and the car looks pretty good.
That's what I felt as well. But and then here's a look at Tyler Gonzalez starting tail end on the field. He's got work to do to get himself back up toward the front here. We've certainly seen him with that level of pace. Quick thing on Gronke, while he was trying to help fix the car last night, little accident and sliced his index finger at the knuckle on his right hand open. And he said, so far it doesn't hurt. He said, I've just got it taped like crazy. And he said, all I have to do is get it to last 40 minutes and then I can go ice it. So they are ready to go. And looks like the field is getting the signal that they are ready to go. It's a big field here, but of course this is that 4-mile track. and this should be, from what we've seen the previous 2 races this weekend, a lot of fun.
It really should, and they were just ding-dong battles all day yesterday amongst all 3 classes, and look for the same here today. Slightly cooler than the race time yesterday. It's just about 63 degrees right now, ambient, very cool track temperatures as well. Perfect day for racing. I'm really excited to be back here for another day.
Oh, absolutely. This 3-race format, we don't like how it was kind of thrust upon us, but we're sure enjoying it as it unfolds, as the field heads out. Another interesting story there, Olivia Askew has shown some great speed this weekend, finished 4th in the first race of the weekend on Friday, was well placed for a good run yesterday, but had that little bit of a half spin down at turn 5, and teammate CJ Moses was nowhere he could go. They contacted, there's Olivia right there at the that red and white car, and so she has shown some pace, and CJ said he turned his fastest lap of the weekend near the end of yesterday's race with a damaged car, and he said, I think I can stay with these guys this time, and then we can have some fun. So be always fun to see what those DDXT CrowdStrike and AWS cars are up to.
Yes, it's been a very strong weekend for them in terms of pace. Certainly Smithson getting that win was tremendous yesterday.
Yes.
They did some testing here last month for a couple of days, so I think that got them on the right footing with the setups. And this is one of those racetracks, Greg, if you get the car dialed in with 14 turns, and a lot of them are very long duration. We talked about yesterday, you suddenly pick up just half a tenth in each corner. That's 3/4 of a second. Yeah. So it makes a big difference around here when you get it dialed in.
I also just want to mention Joey Jordan, who is running the Mazda 3, and it's a developmental year for them, Ryan.
That's very true. We saw them make their race debut here in TC America in the last round at Sonoma. They had done some racing in the winter series that the SRO put on at the Thermal Club over the winter, but as far as actual race action, Sonoma was the first, and they've had some teething issues, to say the least, and those have carried over to some degree here to Road America. In fact, they did not race in the first race of the weekend because of those teething issues. They got those taken care of and were in the race yesterday before they had an issue with the bolt coming loose. Evidently, that was a case of the driver working on the car, and the crew has vowed not to let the driver work on the car again. But Joey Jordan, in all seriousness, is very good with the wrench as he is behind the wheel, has a lot of experience, and they think he's going to be pretty quick. Watch him on the start, guys, because there's a bet within the team on how many spots he's going to pick up at the start. Remember, he's an old Spec Miata racer, so he knows how to put the throttle down and try and make up positions at the start of a race.
Yeah, great update. We will definitely watch for that. And you know, it's a nascent program, obviously, but boy, you know, when it comes good to have that manufacturer with another turnkey car like BMW has, you know, provided for the championship, that's going to be wonderful.
It really will be, and there's a lot of hard work and a lot of grind right now, but they're starting to get some results, it looks like.
Lights out on the Acura NSX, once again the official safety vehicle of SRO Motorsports America, as these fields are starting to line up here. Johann Schwartz, just a bit of an update. He said the first 2 races has been a fair amount of contact, and we evidenced that with that evasive move he had to take up in turn 6 yesterday. He said, hope it's just clean and fast, and he said, looking forward to it. And he said his mom and sister are watching from Denmark and Spain, respectively, and his kids are watching it at home. And he just recently became a U.S. citizen. He's now a dual citizenship holder, so congratulations to Johann on that. We are getting ready to go racing. 40 minutes of competition in TC America. Watch for that NSX. There goes into the pit lane, so field now under the control of pole sitter Victor Gonzalez. And you know, if not for that cut tire of the other day, you know, he could have had a lot better results in terms of finishes this weekend, but he has been fast throughout. And we'll see who leads down into turn 1. The field making its way up, getting in view of that start stand and the green flag. And remember, when the green flag flies, you can start passing immediately on the initial start of the race. And there it goes. We are racing. And right up front, those 2 Hondas lead forward on contact in the back. Johann Schwartz, a number of the TC cars are gathered up. Jordan is involved. Hull is involved. It might be Bryson Liu is involved. Oh, boy.
Yeah, it was just a really slow start. Victor Gonzalez brought the whole group up really slowly, and it looked like maybe some of the TC cars got a bit antsy and tried to get the run there. Once the green flag is out, you're allowed to start passing. You don't have to wait for the stripe, and we can see major carnage here at the beginning.
Yeah, the irony is, just was talking about Johann Schwartz, you know, too much contact, want a nice clean race, and that's him after the incident here. So we immediately go to a full course caution, but there you see Bryson Liu up against the wall. There's Joey Jordan. He didn't get in too hard. It's watching the back here, Cal.
Yeah, someone jumped out. That might have been Hull, possibly. Someone jumped out from the right-hand lane, about second or third row back, it looked like.
And the rest of the field, there's Capizzi. So we think it might be Bryson Liu that just got into the back of Hull and turned him as well. It's another possible angle on it. So they were right behind each other on the grid, weren't they?
Yeah, Hull was behind Liu, so someone jumped from looked like the second or third row of the TC grid.
Yeah.
And as he came out, it looked like he just turned his fellow competitor, possibly.
Yeah, it was on the right by the wall and went to that right, the gap to the right, and that's what probably precipitated it. But boy, I'll tell you, there's going to be some frustrated drivers out there.
Well, you're going to get 0 point scores when you think about the championship for Johann Schwartz. He came into this race 13 points behind now of James Clay. This is a devastating day in terms of the championship picture for him.
Absolutely.
Richard Zullman is at home watching, I'm sure, and it's his car that Johann is campaigning with right now, so major damage there, unfortunately.
And I'll tell you, that Hard Motorsports team led by Adam Harding in the group, they've been putting in just big hours here, just tweaking on the car along with Johann, and this will be frustrating, but they're a crew that can get that car back to ship-shape form, and I'm sure Zullman is well aware of that as well.
The frustration there from Johann. Apologize for the words there.
Yep. This is wife Karen, who does so much for the team and provides us with lots of great information. And that gives you an idea. There was hard enough contact that it just knocks entire hub assemblies right off cars.
Yeah, Johann was on the left lane coming up the hill, and I believe the initial contact was in the right, so someone must have sped across and got into him somehow.
So we've got a bit of a cleanup to do here. And that is the precise reason. Okay, watch it again. See which car. Yep,
yeah, that was third car in line, I think, on the right-hand lane.
Yeah, that's Hull.
And then and that's where the hit. Yeah, so that right lane came across and got into Johann, who probably wouldn't have even seen it develop there.
Exactly. Well, I think what may have happened is Hull got the great launch, actually went around Liu, and then he and Liu touched as he went by Liu, and that turned him, right into Johann.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They've kind of just swiped the rear bumper there and turned him.
You're hard on the throttle. It just breaks the rears loose and around. The impressive thing, and that is exactly why we have these big gaps between the classes, because I didn't see any TCA cars getting involved, but the concern for the TCA cars is all that debris on the track running through. How are the tires?
Yes. It's disappointing. We're losing time of the race too. We expected a great battle, and the backbone of the touring car class has been destroyed here.
Absolutely. This Road America safety team is amongst the very best. Sometimes they work miracles in terms of time, but there's just so many cars involved and so much debris.
Red flag is out now, so
clock stops technically on the red flag. So that's good news. There's Joey. He's able to continue. You can see the wrinkle on the right front. That Cork Sport Mazda 3. Following him around here. This is into Canada corner.
Yeah, it's a shame. Obviously, they were looking for some really positive results here today. The fact that the crew were betting on how many spots Joey was going to pick up there on the initial start, but couldn't even get to the start-finish line there for him, many of the other competitors. some of it was just, you know, Victor's certainly got the right to do this, Gonzalez, in terms of bringing the whole field up at that very low pace. Supposed to maintain 80 kilometers an hour, the speed of the pace car, and then start to accelerate up in this zone here. I just think everyone was really antsy to get going in that second pack.
They're already there to, there's Hull's car, that left front corner is a miss on that we see laying in the track. So safety crew's already there and working on it. And everybody, of course, the teams have all pulled down and are staged up in pit lane. And since this happened on the opening lap, I would suspect that if anybody made moves or whatever, they will go back to the original starting lineup.
My crew will help you.
But we'll see about that. But the other side of the coin, like I said, is everybody who ran through that debris, all the TCA cars in particular, I'm sure that they are taking a very serious look at those tires.
Tires for sure, yes.
These Pirelli P0s are great, but no tire can
Right.
can handle being cut by big shards of debris. So that'll be a bit of an issue to deal with. And as you said, big points implications, particularly for Johann. But I mean, Chandler Hull, he was also in the point scenario. He was back a little bit, didn't like, but that's just gutting for sure.
Yeah, because if James goes ahead and sweeps the weekend and wins here today, suddenly it'll be a 38-point lead over Johann, who had the lead coming into this weekend. So that is a huge swing.
Yeah. It was funny, James made a comment to us yesterday. He was talking a lot about, you know, Toby Grahovic has thousands of laps around here and really knows this place. And he said, you know, to race him is everything. And James said, however, I got my first pro win here, and then the then Pirelli World Challenge in 2008.
Right.
And of course, he came back last year and ran touring car here. It was his first return to World Challenge competition in a lot of years, and won one of the races. And he said, I love this track. He said, everybody does, but he said, I'm not going to be easy to pass. You know, if I can get the jump from pole, that's for sure. Let's get down to the pits and this incident scene and check in with Ryan.
Yeah, guys, I wanted to come down and take a look at it myself, and what you guys have been talking about and what we've seen on the pictures. There is a massive debris field here behind us. The cleanup is going to be extensive. They just were able to pull one of the wrecked race cars up onto the flat toe, and I mean, it's missing the whole left front corner, so a ton of damage, definitely. One other thing to keep in mind, I've heard some discussion about possibly one of these concrete barriers being moved, and looking down the pit lane, that might be the case. So that's something to keep in mind. We might have to take a look at that. But I did have a chance to speak both with Johann Schwartz and Bryson Liu. Both said that they're all right, but obviously very, very frustrated with the way that this race has begun. So much on the line, of course, especially with the championship for Johann, but Bryson, who had such a great debut at Sonoma, has carried that forward here to Road America. Definitely a lot of disappointment there that they weren't able to get a clean start to this race. And now, as you discussed, the focus goes to the cars that had to run through this debris field, and my next task is going to be to walk down and take a look at the cars as they are now stopped here on the pit lane, and try and take a look at the cars and speak to some crew members to make sure that everything is ship-shape, so once the track is repaired and in a state we can race on, that the cars that remain will be ready to go.
Yeah, thanks very much for that, Ryan. And again, you know, the big concern for those TCA cars is running through all that debris. What he was talking about with that barrier being moved, the big concern is when you get these concrete barriers, when one shifts, if you get what's called a leading edge. So if the car hits it, it just peels it back. And so if nothing else, if one of those was shoved over, they'll just take that big gale lift and just pull one of those barriers to eliminate that leading edge. So hopefully that won't take too long. And it's a long-term partnership with this track with Gale, and that's one of the reasons they extract cars out of gravel here like you wouldn't believe with those things.
Yeah, they're definitely set up with some great equipment and great crews here. So we'll get this tidied up, and the good news is that the clock has stopped, so we've got the majority of the 40-minute race still to run. And we should see plenty of action here once we get the green flag and get some cars back rolling again.
Absolutely. This gives us an opportunity. Just want to, as always, give a big shout out to all the volunteers, especially those from the Sports Car Club of America that staff the corners, our pit and grid marshals and the like, all volunteers, passionate about this sport, and especially the ones out in the corners, sort of in the line of fire a little bit, that provide information to both drivers and race control about what's unfolding. Can't have an event without them, so a big thank you to all of them. And one more look at it here, and it's the third. There he goes. That's Chandler.
Green is out, so he's entitled to start passing, but it looked like he just got it wrong there. Gets into Lou and then just spears across to the left lane of cars, which takes out Johann Schwartz. There's Joey Jordan just coming in. Not a major hit, but
no.
Under red flag, you're not really allowed to work on the race car. So even though he's got the car back to pit lane, they'll have to assess the damage just looking at it, but not go to work. Might be tough to get that car back in ship shape. It's high-speed circuit. You want to make sure the car is certainly safe.
That's the important thing, absolutely. So there's Chandler's car. That was the one with the most significant damage, and that's up on the flatbed. Here's the blower and scrubber, and that's what we were talking about. And you can see, well, they got to move that block anyway, but as it sits like that, it would be a huge leading edge. So. See if they're, because they've eliminated that leading edge. Now it's just a matter of.
Yeah, they just got to straighten them out. Probably have to do it a bit at a time on each one.
With that guardrail right behind it, might be complicating things just a little bit. They can't just drop that big arm down behind it and pull it. Meanwhile, as you said, it's red flag conditions, which means in the pit lane, the cars are all queued up there, but really can't do much to them.
That's right by the start-finish line. I see one of our SRO officials down there working on some stuff. I wonder if any of the timing equipment and stuff has been damaged as well. You can see it's literally right on the stripe.
You look at the lineup of how the cars have stopped in the pit lane, you can see that it's the Alphas, then Smithson, then CJ, and that sort of red and charcoal fourth car in the queue. Gonzalez is the orange and lime one off to the side. So we'll see if they just reestablish essentially this other starting grid, or because it went yellow, technically, if anybody did get a move, if they get to keep that. Well, this is going to be a bit of a cleanup, obviously, and so we're going to take a little break here in the comms. We're going to stay live, and we'll have a shot and keep an eye on things. But while this cleanup is affected, we're going to just take a little breather here. As soon as we're ready to go, we'll be right back with you. Well, we are back with you, everybody. As you can see, most of the vehicles, and now the final one in terms of cleanup on the long front uphill straight here at Road America, have exited the track. And I think what will happen here is they'll release the red flag, Cal. The clock will start, and at that moment, teams can start working on cars. If they have safety issues and the like, you can go ahead and start on it. One more look. Look in the background. It's already moved, and there's Hull and Lou touching. Cal, you're spot on.
Yeah, just a little bit too close for comfort there, and with everyone together, you can see the consequences. Several of the top cars are out for the day, including one of our championship contenders, Johann Schwartz. Shakes his head in disbelief. Just when he got up this morning and arrived at this beautiful circuit, blue skies, he wasn't thinking that this was going to be the picture just a couple of hours later.
You saw the big wrinkle in that concrete barrier that Chandler Hull's car had. Those are 8,000 pounds apiece, and so there's some energy there when it moved it, and that's why it came apart. Even though we're under red, these guys are going to go ahead and work in the car. They were at the back of their class anyway, so it's, you know, that would be the penalty, is you just get moved to the back and the like. So I think this is smart on their part to just make sure that car is safe as possible, and that's why you've got the two SRO pit people down there looking at it, making sure that these repairs are going to be safe and adequate here, because they want track time with this car. They're just continuing to develop it.
It's like a test session, essentially. So, yes, they'd love to add a result, and they were talking about how many positions they may have gained on the initial start, but right now it's just make sure the car is safe. Very high-speed circuit, so if any of that body work or front splitter arrangement kind of comes back into one of the front wheels, you don't want that to suddenly happen to Joey here around this high-speed circuit.
Yeah, we've said before that this is a place of speed and consequence. There's Olivia Askew. She is sitting and getting ready to go. She's had a pretty impressive weekend, especially in terms of speed, considering for yesterday's race, Cal, she started third, had a great lap in that race. And then in the race from the previous day that established the grid, then of course had that moment and then the contact with her teammate early in the race itself. But she has shown some real speed, and you said Ryan Dial has been singing her praises a bit.
Yes, he has. He's part of the DXDT GT3 squad, of course, and Brian Sellers really impressed with Olivia when he was working with her last month in a couple of test days that they had here. He's been on site this weekend as well. So lots of potential for Olivia. She's starting a little bit further back in the pack because of that incident early. The grid was set by fast lap times yesterday, which she wasn't able to achieve one. So she may have something to say about the gentleman in front of her today.
Indeed. She, when she was, I think, 17, she won the World Junior Freestyle Downhill Mountain Skiing Championship. And it's not the downhill run you see in Olympic-style competition with the gates and everything. They have you're at the top of the mountain, and there's no gates, and there's a finish line at the bottom, and you pick your route through the trees and the rocks, and first one down with the best time wins it. And watching some of her runs on that was just heart in the throat, but she was pretty amazing. Here's a look at Victor Gonzalez, who sits on the pole. Had that win here last year, and looking to do that again in that Fiebru's Motorsports Magic Logistics entry.
So you're saying for Olivia, that run down to turn 5 could feel the same as her skiing escapades?
Exactly,
yep.
Exactly. Just get there, yeah. And she was on her way. She was really thinking about having a career, and then had an incident and got injured and said, well, maybe that's not the way to go here. And her dad, David, was getting pretty serious about his racing and everything. And so she had done a lot of track days. She drove a car when he would go and test. She'd be out there lapping, and they started to notice that her times were pretty quick. And so they started to pursue that just a little bit, and it's ended up with her running here. And I'll tell you, we are the better for it, for sure. And we were just talking about Victor and how the run has gone for him this weekend. Ryan, what's up?
Well, you'll notice he is at the back of the TCR field right now, and his VGMC crew does not know why that is, because remember, he was the pole sitter. They believe he was leading at the time that the yellow flag and ultimately red flag came out, and there's some confusion as to why he's now at the back of the grid. I noticed when they brought the field into the pit lane when the red flag was displayed, he kind of pulled off to the side, and some of the cars had moved past him, and I'm not quite sure why that would be. But anyway, I know right now that Mariano Cruz, who is the team manager for Victor's team, is hard at work lobbying the officials trying to get this situation rectified. He, as we've talked about already in the broadcast, really was fast going back to the race yesterday and looked like he had the race won until they had a cut tire late in the race. He came up to me afterwards and said, look, you're going to be talking to me in victory lane tomorrow. So he's got a great deal of confidence. The car has been fast all weekend, but if he does not get to retake that position at the front of the grid, then he's got a lot of work cut out for him here when we do go back to green.
Well, and the other part of that, Ryan, is, those two Alpha Giuliettas, I mean, the best qualified, they were 3rd and 4th, and now they're at the front of the queue. The guy outside of the front row, that blue machine, sits 3rd. So maybe when everybody checked up and people, couldn't quite slow down and moved around, but this is interesting, this lineup. And I wonder if Victor, when he moved over and stopped and wasn't in that fast lane, and there might be a rule in the rule book that on a red flag you come in and you just go to you stop in order in that fast lane. So I don't know whether that's part of it. I mean, we're just pure speculation right now, but I'm sure he is frustrated.
He's going to be super frustrated, and it's going to be interesting to see if he does, in fact, have to carve his way through this field once again. So you got the two Alphas lined up at the front of this pack. Whether they'll shuffle the order by the time we get back around, we'll have to wait and see what the series officials decide to do with this one. And it's a very difficult scenario because, some of the drivers may be getting radio communication, big wreck, guys just suddenly get out of the power. Yep. There's a little bit of passing here before we went to the full course yellow and ultimately the red flag. So I would have thought the cleanest way would have been to go back to the original starting order and do a complete reset.
And there wasn't a lap completed before the red flag came out, so they full lap. I mean, everybody came and trundled down pit lane, obviously. So that's a little bit of intrigue here into the mix. And then it'll be, looks like looking back, I mean, for the touring car scenario, James Clay was on pole, but it looks to me like Toby Grahovic is sitting in front of him, Cal.
Yeah, so that's important because we felt yesterday if Toby Grahovic had the track position, he had the fastest car. So if he indeed does lead the TC field back to green and they can keep it clean this time, that could really put him in great shape for this race today.
This is going to be intriguing to see how this plays out. There you have a look at it. Then the number 21 of Austin Smith, because of the incident, the cars in front of him going away, will be next to do the roll-off. And then here comes the field in the touring car A category. And I wonder if that may not have been exactly what happened. talked about that at the start, if for some reason Victor maybe heard there's a big wreck and lifted, but that caution wasn't out, and others checked up and others went by, and then they threw the caution. That's why they elected to keep it. But I would submit that an opening lap like that, when the race is safety car and then flagged, red flag, that just going back to the start order makes some sense. It looks like everything in the TCA category is as qualified.
Yes, and the biggest concern was obviously a cut tire from some of the debris that they would have run through. I don't think there was any damage occurred significantly to any bodywork or anything like that.
So let's take a look maybe here. Now watch this. There's the green. So watching, looking for any kind of a caution. You know it's going to be happening. Now watch for what may have happened here. Caution just came out. See it up there as it starts to Cal. We're hearing it may have been in turn 1. He spun.
Okay, so he spun after the yellow was out, so
yeah.
I'm not sure whether he's
yeah, and the two Alphas had already snuck their way around Smithson. I don't know whether Smithson checked up.
Now it looks like the Alphas will lead us to the green flag, so they've assumed that is the determination that's been made by the officials. That was the running order when we went caution and red. Let's see what they can do with it. Obviously, Block had some technical issues early in the race yesterday, which stymied his end result, but both those Alphas have shown good pace. It seems to be as strong as maybe the Hondas into the brake zones, but certainly around the whole lap, they've got good lap time.
Yeah, the Romeo Ferris and Alpha 9 Supply and Alfa Romeo Daytona machines, fielded by KMW Motorsports with TMR Engineering, and there is a wealth of racing knowledge between those two groups.
Yes, for sure. There we see Victor at the tail end of the TCR group. And one thing with these TCR cars is trying to generate any sort of rear tire temp is difficult with them being front-wheel drive, and you're scrubbing the tires, it's working the fronts, the power's being delivered to the front. So the rears are essentially along for the ride. So it's tough on these formation laps, and that may have been what caught him out in turn 1 when he didn't have the Pirellis fully up to temperature there.
And of course, we just saw the aftermath of his spin as well, so not exactly sure, but with this pace he's shown, I would think here he'll start to move up through the field pretty quickly, but can he get to the front? Well, there's pretty quick cars.
Lots of questions.
Yes,
how healthy is Tyler Maxon's car? I'm sure they fixed the broken shock situation, but he just seems to be down on power here this weekend, so I'm not sure if there was a electronic or technical issue with the engine, or if it's just down on power, or whether the Hyundai's just not showing the speed of the other brands here this weekend.
And for Grahovic, we talked about that in the touring car class, lining up in front of Clay and now in single file, and this is technically a restart, so changes the dynamic of when you can pass, but we're about to find out with things settled here. The Acura NSX official safety vehicle into pit lane, and leading the field up is Tim Lewis Jr. in that black, actually deep red, number 55 Alpha, and the green flag flies, and we are racing. And again, this is a restart scenario, but now they're past the start-finish line. They can start racing here, and you can see Maxon, who was in front trying to stymie Victor Gonzalez behind him. Smithson trying to make a move, couldn't quite get that done.
Big move by Gonzalez there. Maxon's out wide. Gonzalez slides it down to the inside. Going to make a big move from the tail end of this field, already up to 4th position.
Yeah, he just picked up, what, 3 spots?
This is going to be an indicator right here. Maxon gets a good run off of turn 3. Can he hang with Gonzalez down the straightaway? It looks like he got a little bit more power than he had yesterday.
Watch him through this long moraine sweep from turn 3 to 5, just flat out, then falling abruptly downhill into the braking zone. He's up to 4th, Maxon 5th, CJ is 6th. Olivia got run a little bit wide in one of the turns by these touring car guys, and as a result, Grahovic and Clay are in front of Olivia.
Yeah, and she was a bit more circumspect coming through that turn 5, where she had the moment yesterday, but it's allowed the 2 touring car leaders to get in front of her and to kind of break up this touring car pack. So Grahovic hangs on to that lead, but he's got a lot of pressure from behind by James Clay, looking for a sweeper this weekend.
Well, look at Maxon. That Hyundai looks a lot more racy today.
It does.
He is just glued to the rear deck of Gonzalez.
The Hyundai is just such a great handling car, and right through this carousel is where it should really show its strengths. Yeah, he was just dropping like a rock yesterday, so it looks like they may have fixed that power issue on that car, the championship leader.
Up front, yeah, the two Alphas and Smithson are.
In the backdrop, I thought I saw the touring car leaders almost in the grass there, exiting the carousel. Yes, and I think Clay has got around Grahovic, so I'm not sure if he stuck it down the inside, and Toby ran a little bit wide coming through there.
There he is now, Clay defending on Toby just a little bit.
This is like cut and paste from yesterday. Toby's seen this picture before.
I'm sure he's tired of that picture and would like to do something about it here. And then Olivia, the problem is she's dropped. Oh, see Toby put tires in the grass this season already to make it pass. Olivia needs a good run here out of 14. She's got the horsepower advantage, but she's had a bit of a deficit in terms of track position. She ought to clear these guys.
Yes, big difference here in horsepower, of course, so she'll gradually inch up on these guys down this front straightaway. Hopefully it'll clear them by the time they get to the brakes for turn 1. Coming through the clean-up dust there.
Got a heck of a run there, didn't he?
He did.
They say they don't draft well, but he got a great one there.
Olivia lets the touring car leaders go once again, so she doesn't want to get caught up in their little battle.
Look at this scrum here as Newcomb has himself a lead. Look at Tyler Gonzalez absolutely slicing his way through this field. That's up to second if he makes it work around the outside.
Kevin Boehm, he gets a good run through turn 1 there. Can he do anything with it down in the run down to turn 3? Looking for a sweep of the weekend as well. Aboard the Honda Civic there, third car in picture.
Very, very careful move there by the number 60 of Mejia, the Mini. And I'm looking here. Gronke was right up in that mix. He was third across the line, but I don't see him.
Yeah, so Newcomb has a healthy lead. I think Gronke's in that pack a little bit further back. The Mini's down to the inside. That's Pombo, I believe, down on the inside of Boehm. He's aboard the orange machine, taking over from his teammate's car after destroying his on Friday.
Clay Williams is in that yellow car. And then the black hooded red one is Mejia. But boy, Newcomb is just checked out.
Obviously had a wonderful restart there and probably a schmozzle right behind him. And he's taking advantage of that. He's got clean air in front of him. So these guys battle out for the rest of the podium positions right now.
And he runs for Victor Gonzalez, the VGMC team, Victor's team. So he's carrying the colors right now. Keeping an eye on things. Gonzalez, he's turning some pretty quick laps, but Smithson up in front of him is keeping him at bay. So this is the great battle right now.
Pombo literally sliding that Mini through the carousel. We've got that car healthy today because he started in that car yesterday, but immediately had issues. They had to bring it back to the paddock. And we see the battle up front for the touring car lead. So Lewis Jr. has it for the Alpha, followed by his teammate Block, Smithson, and Gonzalez. The two Hondas following their wheel tracks. It just seems like the Honda's a little bit better on the brakes, Greg, on the entry to these corners compared to the Alphas.
And Gonzalez just set fast lap of the race at 2:21.8 and took a full second out of Smithson.
Plenty of time to work with here. Just needs to be patient here and try and pick them off one by one.
Once again, heading down the Moraine sweep. Maxon chasing. Lewis doing a nice job, as is Roy Block. Let's see now, Gonzalez. Is he close enough here? Not quite, although Smithson covered, so Gonzalez could get a nice run up into 6 possibly.
Smithson's really good on the brakes there down in turn 5. It doesn't seem to really lose any speed coming off compared to the Alphas, who are a little bit easier into that brake zone.
Here's our touring car battle, and again, Clay leading the 26 Classic BMW entry of Grahovic. And Austin Smith right behind them, and Tom Capizzi in the Capizzi Home Developments car looking really strong.
He's had a great start here. He's right with the leaders are. Gronke's on pit lane. Wonder if he's got further brake issues, Greg. Something's not 100%.
Now, they had that big off yesterday with some pretty good contact in Canada, and you don't really know. It's not like a morning practice or warm-up, so You're not really sure what you have until that green flies. Apparently there is some issue. James Clay takes that Bimmer World Pork Snacks and Optima Batteries car through the carousel.
Into this weekend with a 7-point deficit to Johann Schwartz, who's out of this race. So a big day potentially championship-wise for James Clay, looking to sweep the weekend. 2 victories already here at Road America, looking for the 3rd. And he's a tough man to beat once he gets the track position out front.
Yeah, incredibly so. See, go back to watching a little bit of the TCR action. Let's get down to the pits and get an update on PJ Gronke, pole sitter in the TCA class.
Well, as you noted, he made his way down pit lane. He did not stop at his pit box. He immediately pulled that car behind the wall. So it appears his day has come to a premature end. And that appears to also be the fate for Matt Forbush, another victim effectively of that lap 1 crash, because while sitting on pit lane, that car suffered some heat soak and it caused an issue with the fuel line. They had to push that car back to its pit stall just before the restart to try and get it resolved. They did send him back out, but he has not completed a lap since. So it appears that Matt Forbush has hit problems as well.
All right, thanks very much, Ryan. Yeah, that's unfortunate that CB Racing Signal supported team first season and having some teething issues, but when they're on strong form here. Roy Block dropped way back. Look at this now. Grahovic trying the outside on Clay through 3. They're side by side.
He's got the inside line on this run down the Moraine Sweep towards the turn 5 braking zone.
And it looks like Smith and Capizzi are going with him. That should help them draft by, potentially.
Like Roy Block had dropped back from the lead of second position he held. As we now look at this touring car battle down into the brake zone. Grahovic has the inside line. He should be able to clear Clay. Look at that. That opens up the door for the rest of the pack. Clay having to defend here as they run the hill up to turn 6.
And that moves Austin over right where Tom Capizzi was thinking of going. Side by side through 6. And Austin Smith, we haven't seen him in this class this year. He made 1 start. Ooh, and a bump there, and Clay is dropping back. And here comes Capizzi. He's got the inside line on Clay. Down into turn 8. This could be a horrible first sector for James Clay.
Yeah, it really cost him a bundle of track positions there. So that has allowed Grahovic just to scamper away here. Big lead now in touring car for Toby Grahovic.
I'll tell you, I was going to say with Austin, he made 1 start in Las Vegas last year in touring cars. He ran 1 GT4 Sprint X race here earlier this season, but he's come back here and with Auto Technic Racing, and he is showing some form here.
That's the weird thing about James Clay this weekend. Yes, he's coming off a pair of victories, but I always felt he's been vulnerable here. The car does not seem to be completely underneath him, and he just got out-shuffled there, and nothing he could do about it. Now back to the 3rd position as Austin gets a little bit wide there through turn 12, and Clay gets the run on him.
Yeah, Austin, you can see that car was really squirming under braking, missed the apex significantly. And driver of James Clay's caliber isn't going to waste that opportunity, and he's through. Now the question is, can he make up what has grown fairly quickly into a pretty sizable deficit?
Well, I felt all weekend long that Grahovic has had the fastest car here, yes, Greg. So now he's got the track position. He's not got no pressure from behind. 24 minutes left in this race. Just get his head down, hit his marks. He could be tough to beat here. Look for his 2nd win on the season.
Up front, by the way, Gonzalez just reset fast lap of the race and is all over Smithson, who is equally close to Lewis Jr., so a good 3-car battle for the lead. Overall, good battle here.
Smithson to the front.
Gonzalez wide.
Make it stick. Lewis retaliates going up the hill.
This is some fierce stuff as well.
Smithson was just so strong in that turn 5 braking zone. He's got a taste of victory after yesterday. He wants another one.
The Block got back through on Maxon. Not really sure what happened with Block, but he's back through now and has opened up a little bit of room. And here comes Smithson once again, that EXDT Quello machine.
Everyone's trying to take an advantage of an off weekend for Tyler Maxon, who started this championship season with 9 consecutive victories, including a Friday win here. But his car is definitely a little off the pace compared to what it's been showing all season long. And that's who's going to pick up the victories in front of him, I think.
Victor was right there, then overshot turn 5 and lost some ground again, but look how quickly he runs these guys down. He's easily the quickest car. Does he try something here into turn 12? Smithson thought he was going to, Cal.
Yeah, he kind of defends that move by running down the center lane there on the approach to Canada corner. Smithson's car is just really strong into the brake zones, but Gonzalez seems to have a really good, quick car over the whole lap.
You could see what happens as Smithson was so close to the back of Lewis, but running that center line, it tightens the radius up. You don't get quite the exit speed and gives Lewis just that little bit of breathing room.
Because Roy Block seems to have good pace once again, so he obviously had a little moment there, or maybe when one of the others made a passing move on him, he got shuffled off the racetrack a little bit, trying to recover back. It was an Alpha 1-2 at the beginning of this thing.
Gonzalez picked up a little bit of a toe, and Smithson just cut him off, but the
Wow,
argument, oh, there's a touch. They're both sliding. Huge save. Oh, my goodness.
Awesome stuff. Hopefully there's no damage there to that right rear corner for Lewis.
Gonzalez wanted to try and sneak in, Smithson having none of that.
I don't think that was really initially an overtaking move for the lead. I think he was just trying to defend from Gonzalez and ended up thinking, oh boy, I'm in here now and better try and make it stick. Watch.
I'm in here hot, yeah.
Gonzalez looks to the inside. Smithson just takes it in super deep. Just rushes up on Lewis just as he's trying to get to apex.
That saved by, ooh, and look at that. Now he is through, Smithson is, on Lewis. See if Lewis can do anything. He's so close. He looks to the inside up in 6.
Look at this battle here up front as allowed Roy Block to join the party once again.
Dare I say that save by Lewis was Klein-Ubing-esque?
That was pretty cool, right? Front wheel drive, just nail it.
Turn the wheels where you want to go and hit the throttle. Now it's Smithson clear.
He's had the pace, Greg, all weekend long,
has,
so now he's got the track position, got a little bit of a buffer in terms of the gap back to Tim Lewis Jr. Let's try and get the hammer down here before Gonzalez clears the Alpha.
He takes a peek here. See if he can figure out a way to get through heading into 12. He wants that. He's moving over, trying to set it up right now.
He's really quick through the kink, Gonzalez is.
He carries speed, isn't he? Look at that. He's already well up along the inside. Gets through. Look at Lewis doing a counter punch.
Oh, it's going to be tight. That is really dangerous when you get side by side there through that little kink as you approach turn 13.
Is that kink to the right, then the turn into 13, and we've seen a lot of contact.
It's hard for the leading driver to really recognize where the other driver is on his right flank there as you're looking ahead, and Tyler Maxson runs off the road just trying to dig deep here and catch that lead pack.
When you're down on power, your only option is to just carry immense speed, isn't it?
Yeah, he's having to overdrive it a little bit as we now see the two Hondas battling out for second as Gonzalez has gone to the front in the TCA division.
Boy, he's gone to the front and he's gone. Look at the margin he's opened up. Oh, I'm going to take a look now down to the inside. Newcomb couldn't quite get it done. Newcomb's doing a really, really strong job this weekend. And then it is Mejia.
So important for Gonzalez to rebound from 2 bad days here starting this race weekend. The good news for him is that one of his main competitors, Mark Pombo, has had a bit of a disaster himself. Crashing big time on Friday, taking his teammate's car yesterday in technical issues, so hasn't scored many points so far.
That yellow Mini is Williams. There is Pombo sitting in the 6th spot with Gonzalez leading. So, and again, Boehm looks, but Newcomb up to the task, going deep into Canada corner. Runs a little bit wide. Boehm got a run, but that's that scenario you're talking about. He knew there just wasn't much he could do with it.
Yeah, Boehm's car looks a little bit stronger at this phase of the race, but time is running out for him to go chase down the leader right now. I'm sure he's going to show his fellow Honda competitor a lot of respect here, but he needs to get it.
Yeah, running for 2 different teams, of course, VGMC for Newcomb and DXDT and AWS CrowdStrike.
Like Joey Jordan peeling off there back to the pit lane as Mejia gets that run. Then he is stout, and then Honda comes back right at the end of the straightaway. So just the torque of the engines is given that concertina effect.
Yep. Yeah, they're just real torquey coming out of the turns. Boehm has settled back in again. Some really good battles throughout this race, don't we? Smith and Gonzalez and Lewis for the overall lead. Grahovic and Clay for touring car, and TCA right here for second.
Gonzalez has just burst through this pack and just taken off at the front of this TCA
really
field.
has.
However, Pombo there, distant sixth position right now, but here deep on the brakes down to the inside. He's not going to get there. Pombo just sweeps through, gives him a little bit of room in case he did try and force the issue. Just smart driving there by Kevin Bowen.
I don't think anybody's going to be able to do much with the pace of Gonzalez the way he is going right now. But here's this battle, and Clay, really dancing around. He has gone back to the front, yeah.
He has caught Toby Grahovic and made a quick move, so Toby's got reset here once again. Just James is super aggressive.
Well, as he came through Billy Mitchell turn 13, that car was dancing and everything else behind him. Grahovic was on rails, and he gets a good run now, moves to the outside. But James on the inside. Look at that, though. Toby's going to come through and try and shut the door.
So close. Just great feel by both drivers there in terms of not making any contact. Grahovic to the middle of the road, gets the lead back. Seesaw battle right now for the touring car win today, and 16 minutes left.
I remember calling races here in SCCA national competition. Toby in a BMW Z3. He's driven pretty much everything here. Oh, Clay going to try down the outside as Grahovic protects. Now watch for the over-under. Can he make it work?
No, couldn't quite get the front to work for him and turn back in and get back to power.
And I'll tell you, this is one of Tom Capizzi's best runs this season. He is all over Austin Smith for third.
He'd love to get that final podium spot.
Wouldn't he,
Maybe
though?
it's more with the two leaders so close together.
And he's got the Capizzi Home Developments machine. He is hooked up. Toby gets just a little bit of breathing room now.
He does. I mean, the car just looks super solid, so I'm not sure where Clay was able to get back around him. Whether it was a little bobble by Toby, just made him vulnerable. You could just see there through the carousel, just James is really struggling to get that car dialed in. Clay's really having to work to get the front end to hook up on him.
I wonder if maybe in his push to get back to the lead, if he didn't just push the Pirelli P0s a little bit too hard. Here's Capizzi looking at the back of Austin. Not able to do anything at this stage.
He's willing to just sit there and keep the pressure on, but you've got to feel that he's thinking a little bit further ahead as to where he can possibly find a move on Austin here where he may be vulnerable.
Up front, Gonzalez, his last lap was 7/10 quicker than, oh boy, this is Lewis. Oh, what a shame.
This now moves his teammate up to the third position. Max and holding down fourth, but struggling a bit here today.
I wonder if this is related to that touch. That's a shame, because that car was flying and Lewis was doing just a superb job.
Yeah, I mean, the car's been really quick here this weekend in all aspects, other than a little bit into the brake zones. The Hondas looked a little bit more balanced, giving the drivers more confidence there. It looked like Lewis having to tippy toe into the brake zones a little bit and just feel the car out as opposed to committing.
Well, let's find out what the story might be, Ryan.
Contact, I believe, with Smithson appears to be the culprit. They believe that there's something broken in the suspension here on the right rear. The crew is taking a look under the car. You can see on the tire and on the wheel well, there has been some contact made. And I'll tell you, just listening to the car coming into the pits, something did seem like it was rattling around. And it looks like Tim's about to climb out of that race car.
That is a real shame. He had some serious speed going and was going to be a factor in this one, and that's got to hurt, that's for sure.
Yeah, day done. It's unfortunate. It was a very strong one for the team and for Tim.
Yeah, it certainly was. So it's the battle now for the overall and TCR leads. Smithson and Gonzalez then block right there at the bottom of your screen. As now running third, as you said, Max in fourth. Here is our TCA battle.
Why Smith and Capizzi are not going away.
No, they're not.
This has really got the ability to compress this battle. Saw a 5-car train yesterday late in the going, got a 4-car opportunity right now as well.
And actually, that last lap, Clay was, of the 4, was the slowest one. That's oh boy, and Mark Pombo in the Mini USA entry. Looks like he has issues too, Cal.
Yeah, just been a disaster of a weekend for Mark, unfortunately. It's tough once you get on the back foot and then you're driving a not your primary car any longer.
You can hear it. It sounds like it's backfiring almost. All right, through 14, up the hill for the touring car, top 4. That car right at the bottom you just saw a flash of was 5th in touring car. That's Rob Slonaker. Here's the Bimmer World Group watching things. See if Clay doesn't get enough of a tow, does he?
No. A little crease there in the front bumper of Clay's car. He's not afraid to get his elbows out, as we saw in that battle at the front here today.
Maybe that's the badge that you carry for working your way through.
Well, I think he's a bit of an intimidator within this class. I think everyone recognizes that he's not afraid to get feisty.
Well, he mentioned in those 2 touring car races he ran last year, he won one of them. Ooh, and he takes a look inside. Toby covers, and now James is going to try the outside. And Toby just drifts over enough. It doesn't allow James to turn in.
Yeah, that was all totally legit.
Yeah.
My concern was as James then swept to the outside lane that he was going to brush the rear bumper and maybe turn Toby at a very high-speed sector of the racetrack there. So great job by James recognizing the move that Toby is putting on him.
But that slowed them down, and Austin Smith is right there. And speaking of there, Gonzalez is right with Smith, and now they're working some traffic. Boy, look at how far over Boehm is, making sure to let those guys go. He doesn't want any issue with it. Gonzalez got a great run, look to the inside. Newcomb went over to cover. Gonzalez now, huge run of speed.
Big momentum through turn 1, looking for a move there down into turn 3, trying to use this traffic as a pick possibly.
That really tightened up Smithson's exit, and Gonzalez got the run. He squared up 3. See what happens here as they head down the Moraine sweep. Gonzalez is there.
He is
so
right
close.
there, but this is where Smithson is so good into this brake zone.
Gonzalez is going to test him. Smithson runs just a little bit wide. Cal, so close. I thought he was going to come across and clock him. Great reaction by Victor.
It was. Oh, there's a touch. There's a quick touch. They both keep it together. And Smithson did a great job there of just keeping the lead there through turn 5, but just came off the corner with very little momentum, and Victor almost took advantage of it up into the brake zone for turn 6.
Which tire did that smoke come off of? Because that can often be indicative of a potential cut or valve stem contact. And Victor, last thing he wants is another cut tire on the weekend. What a great duel this is, though.
It is. Both cars are very evenly matched. Victor's really quick through this set. Let's see if he can get a run on Smithson here.
Updating you in the other classes is still Grahovic over Clay, then Smith with Capizzi hounding him. TCA Boehm has turned his personal best fast lap of the race and has got that margin to Gonzalez down to under 2.5 seconds. But this is for the overall lead. TCR, and it is good stuff. This is what TCR is technically supposed to be all about. All the cars built to a very similar spec. And these cars, in fact, essentially identical, and it's up to the driver.
A little bit wide there in the grass. That'll cost him a little bit. Got to regroup now and reset. He's not going to be close enough, I don't feel. You can see what that cost him there, just running wide, late to the power. Clay
is through, and oh wow, what a battle this is. And Austin Smith is saying, you know, I can play with these guys.
Well, We'll have to wait and see if the two leaders don't get into each other.
Yes.
This could be for the win for Smith or Capizzi here.
You know, this is the last race of a three race weekend, and there's some time before the next one. Toby trying to open that run up through the kink, using that entry curve to. These TC cars have just been a great show this weekend.
Yeah, James takes the middle of the road and a little bit more. Hope he's just got to try and set him up, but that's where it gets dicey as Capizzi looks down the inside of Smith into Canada corner.
Hovick looks really strong here, up through Billy Mitchell. Ooh, there you see Clay, that car on a knife's edge through there.
He's got to settle it back down again. Grahovic should get a good run through 14. He set the corner up a little bit better. The team looks on along with the BMW motorsport engineer Colin Harmon there, looking at the data as they climb the hill.
Oh, he is so close. Yeah, and that bounce at the exit of 13 never allowed Clay to really get to the line that he wanted. And Toby has rolled some speed now. Clay's got the inside.
Been side by side through here.
Really deep.
Many times, but Hovick elects not to try and make that outside move this time. Gets a good run off of turn one, looks to the inside. Smith just sitting there trying to determine if he wants to engage in this battle right now.
That's the little bit of an issue for Toby. If you try and get a really wide run in somewhere, you leave yourself vulnerable to Smith. So he's driving one eye forward, one eye mirror.
Well, if you stick it down the inside and it doesn't stick, suddenly Smith and Capizzi are potentially going to get by you. That's exactly what happened to Grahovic yesterday when he got shuffled back late in the going.
James got through 5 that time. That line, you could hear it. He picked the throttle up really well, but Toby staying right with him, as is Smith.
Just looks like James' car is a little more edgy, doesn't it? Like he's having to fight it a little bit more to keep the lap time there.
That's why I wonder if he's just maybe used those Pirelli P0s up a little bit more.
Boehm has caught Gonzalez here.
He has, but look at the straight line.
But he's always been good in the straightaway.
Yeah, handles well in the straights. Yeah. Boehm, it really seems to have speed in the second and third sector, doesn't it?
Boehm has certainly caught him here, so he had a massive lead here just 5 minutes ago, so Boehm's car looking strong here in the late going.
Gonzalez just ran his personal best lap, which was pretty much identical to what Boehm's been doing. I think that's Olivia Askew, who's coming up and working her way through, sits 5th right now. She's cleared them both. Oh, and a problem for Clay Williams. I'll tell you, it's been a tough day for Mini JCW. Clay, his second weekend, debuted in the series at Sonoma. Friend of Thomas Mejia from the karting days, and Thomas got him an opportunity there, and Clay was really impressive at Sonoma. He's got great speed.
He certainly does, and it's been a weird weekend, Greg. I mean, we've got relatively cool conditions here for August, and we've just seen numerous technical issues through all of the classes here this weekend. Quite unusual.
Is that a factor of the speeds here and the fact that you do use curbs and it can rattle things loose and break
the
stuff?
curbs, I think you're spot on there with the curb usage here. It really puts a resonance through the car. It can cause things to fail.
It looks like Capizzi at some point in this, well, he may have just been grazed at that start line incident right at the beginning here.
What gets a run down to the outside. Now this is perfect to do the undercut right here. He's timed it perfectly. Can he make it stick? No, James just really got a good exit there. Like Toby had timed that perfectly to create enough gap there to roll through apex with a mile or two more than James had.
Problem is, a driver of James, not just ability but experience, he's pretty adept at putting the car, you know, he's thinking, now what would I do here? And that's where you try and put the car in the exit, isn't it?
Once he recognized that Toby was not going to make the move on the entry, it allowed James to then refocus on rolling speed through the apex. See that Mini going at low speed here as the touring car battle goes around the outside of him.
Oh, look at this speed Toby rolls there.
I was just dialed in this weekend. Classic BMW have done a great job setting that car up for Toby.
Sort of their in-house motorsports arm is Fast Track Racing. Based right there in the Classic BMW dealership. And they have a great dynamic going. Oh, and man, did he get a run. Clay knew it, moves to the middle, but Toby is going to come right up along the outside. Can he do anything here? Clay knows what the plan is. Nope.
This is the trouble spot right there. If you do get to the right-hand side of someone in front of you, they're going to come across on the line a little bit, and you've got to give each other enough room. As again, Clay really wide through Billy Mitchell there, turn 13. He's certainly wringing his neck here this weekend in terms of trying to grab these wins, James Clay.
Up the hill. Let's see what Toby's able to do here. We've said about these cars not drafting well, but this long straight, you get to a point you do pick up a pretty good toe. Toby again pops to the outside. He's got a nose ahead here.
Guys, they're going to go side by side through here. Can Grahovic clear him? He slides it a little bit. Going to give James the run. Grahovic, is he going to give him that inside lane? No, he doesn't. But this is going to give Austin Smith a big run coming off of turn 3.
He's got a head of steam built up here. Just over 1 minute to go. Up front, Smithson half a second clear of Gonzalez. In TCR, in TCA, Gonzalez, the other one, Tyler. Oh, look at this, side by side. And now Clay's gonna try the over-under. And Toby opened the door up with that little slide.
He's going
they're
for
close. Oh, there's a touch.
He gets into him. Toby grabs it, he's running wide. Clay's gonna get through, and others.
Is Austin gonna be able to get, yep, he's around the outside.
Toby just trying to recover here, get it back together. Super aggressive move there by James Clay. Just got into the left rear fender of Toby. Big moment, he caught it, but he's lost the lead and dropped down to 3rd right now. He's probably fired up.
Yes.
Probably good news for James Clay that he's now got a buffer, because I think Toby would be going after him.
How about this run by Austin Smith? He has got that Autotechnic BMW singing right now.
As we've said many times this weekend, James Clay is not afraid to get his elbows out.
He's got a margin here. Is Toby going to be able to do something? He's swinging to the outside of Austin.
Says final lap. That's the final lap for the TCR field, not for these guys. They should get 2 more corners plus 1 full more lap.
And Toby's through, back into second on Austin. Oh, and a touch. Capizzi didn't, as Austin had to slow down.
This is going to be really tight into 13. Can they survive it? Looks like they did. Capizzi is through and up to 3rd. Now Grahovic is going to get his head down and try and chase after James Clay. And you know he's going to be fired up after that move up into turn 6.
You bet. And you know that that was a gentlemanly move by Austin Smith, because if he hadn't just dipped the brake there at Billy Mitchell, that would have been sketchy. Final lap. Smithson has opened that margin up just a little bit in the front to 7/10 right now. Again in TCA, Gonzalez is 7/10 over Boehm, then a gap back to Mejia. There they are. Coming up, Smithson.
Oh, and he's off the power. He got wide there, had to give it a big lift, it looked like, on exit at turn 14, but he's got enough of a gap.
So he could be going for his 2nd straight win. This one from pole. What a race in the Quello DXDT Honda Civic Type R. Smithson getting win number 2 in a row. Victor Gonzalez for VGMC Fiebrews. And Magic comes home in 2nd. And then this battle. Toby's there.
He is there, and he's going to be fired up, I can tell you that.
You bet. He will throw everything at this here. He has carried so much speed through the carousel and kink. You'd think
he's right there. He's got a big run. How much does he want it right now? Got to be thinking about an overtake
Yes.
down into turn 12. He's got to set this up, but you know Clay's going to get super defensive on that run into Canada corner. Traffic up ahead.
Oh boy.
Will that play a part in this result?
Here we go, Gonzalez to the line. Boehm closed it way up, but Gonzalez, after a torturous race yesterday, comes back, picks up the win, and look at this, side by side, Grahovic is through, using traffic as a pick. Now he's got to make sure he doesn't slow or overrun the exit here. Wow, he carried speed to the kink.
Oh, he really did. He just set that up perfectly and gets the run on James, and the car was in the way there, the TCA car. More traffic up ahead for Toby Grahovic.
That's Sarchizin, and he stays as out of the way as he possibly can. It's a drag race, and I thought Clay might have the speed, but that little wiggle when the car stepped out right on that apex or exit curb, it is so close. Coming to the line, Grahovic, you can't even see the nose of Clay, but Grahovic hangs on for a win at what he very much considers his home track. But what a battle between two of the very best in this division, Grahovic and Clay. Wow.
That was amazing to be dropped down to third with a little bump and run by James Clay for Toby Grahovic to respond. Here's the run, he gets through the kink. Here's the replay, just massive speed through there, and I've always felt that James Clay was a bit vulnerable with the handling. Toby just gets the run here, pops out to the left side, and is able to clear Clay. And Clay had to be thinking about that Mini in his way as well, distracted him enough for Toby to get to the apex first into Canada corner.
Well, Clay clearly thought he was going for the inside, and he showed him the dummy, for lack of a better term. And Clay covered it, and what a response by Toby Grahovic. As you said, dropped to third, and then coming back, running him down and getting the win.
That's the Toby Grahovic I like to see.
Well, you've talked about if he just got a little bit more aggressive. Well, he did. We saw him do it at VIR, and he's done it here. Is that, oh boy, that's Damon Sarchizin's car. So problems for both of the tech sport entries here, but how about what a weekend for Scott Smithson. But the crowd strike fastest lap once again goes to the FIA Bruise Motorsports driver, Victor Gonzalez Jr. Will be some salve for the wound of not getting himself a win.
That was a big one, 7/10 clear of the rest of the TCR field on that fast lap.
I'm sure he thinks he had this one. You know, just a couple of things got and that spin on that start under caution, we didn't see what started it, but I'm sure that's weighing heavily on his mind, whatever.
That was an eventful 40 minutes, Greg. Way to get the day started.
Wasn't it? That's nice. Looks like Smithson going back to say hi to Victor. Roy Block back a bit, but a nice finish for the Alfa Giulietta. As you can see as we take a look at the results for Tyler Maxson, who had that horrible day yesterday. Rebounding with a car that was a lot more competitive, but just not enough speed, ends up fourth. Still has that massive point lead, obviously. Olivia Askew, another top 5 in her debut season racing with CJ Moses there. And then that battle, Grahovic and Clay and Smith. You have to throw Austin into this one, and certainly Capizzi as well. That was just a great scrap between all 4 of them.
Yes, it's been a sensational weekend of touring car racing action. I mean, Toby Grahovic, that was a brilliant victory today. Second win on the year, and certainly making a statement there. He's not going to be roughed up and not retaliate.
And in touring car A, Elba Gonzalez last to first. In an absolutely great one. Kevin Boehm, after 2 wins, takes another second. Mejia completes the podium in third. And then it was Newcomb, who was right at the sharp end of things for a lot of this race. And then rounding up the top 5, Damon Sarchizin. With Ben Williams, Pombo, Jordan, obviously the development issues, for lack of a better term, but you expect these kind of teething issues with a brand new program like that at the end of it. And for Lewis Jr. in particular, and PJ Gronke in his class, if they not had issues, they have both shown real speed this weekend.
Lots of promise there. We see Victor Gonzalez. He'll be disappointed, to come out of this weekend with so much pace and not a victory, but still a great showing by he and the team.
Let's take a look at some of the highlights from the 11th round of TCR and TCA, and the 10th round of touring car. There's the start, but it's behind it where all the action unfolded in touring car.
It did. Just that right-hand lane got together and spared across the race. The championship contenders, Johann Schwartz.
some of the other cars involved. We went red flag for the cleanup and stopped the clock. And the Road America safety crew doing a great job. A frustrated Johann Schwartz knowing he had a car. But then on the restart, the two Alphas up front, then Bolson and Newcomb in third. Victor Gonzalez, who had spun when the yellow came out in the lap, but it wasn't going to take Smithson long to start a move toward the front.
No, his car was very strong here today. You see Victor Gonzalez making a big move on this restart lap, all the way up to 4th place from the tail end of the field.
Yeah, that was an impressive opening run, and then the touring cars behind him, you can see. And then here's Smithson, touch, brilliant save by Lewis, and he kept the lead on top of it. And going back into the TCA category, side by side, Kevin Boehm and Tyler Gonzalez coming up, as we said, from the back of the field. A little swing over there to dissuade Boehm, but at the end, Smithson getting the win. Overall in TCR, Gonzalez in TCA from the back. And then this battle, in this last corner here through the kink, Toby Grahovic had come from third. It was brilliant.
It really was. In his draft, pops out to the left-hand side, uses the Mini as a bit of a pick. James trying to get it together, thinks about making a move, but wisely determines that was just going to be contact and a disaster for both of them. Toby's able to get it across the line first.
Classic BMW hangs on for the win after an absolutely furious battle, but overall winner, Scott Smithson, is in victory circle with Ryan.
First win yesterday, now second straight win for you, Scott Smithson, and you had Victor Gonzalez closing. What were those final laps like, looking in your mirror, but also concentrating on your own driving?
Yeah, he had some pace. I kept making mistakes and just really wearing my fronts down. But he was coming up, and luckily for the back section that I had the carousel and the kink to just pull him some space, otherwise he would have got by me.
Well, so, fantastic weekend for you. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, it was that, just a superb race. And I'll tell you what, it completes for the Touring Car America divisions an absolutely fabulous, fun-filled weekend of racing here at one of the most beautiful venues you can imagine, Road America. Up next, a return to Circuit of the Americas for these cars, and that's going to be a fun one as well. Thanks so much for joining us. For Cal and for Ryan Marine, I am Greg Creamer. It has been a pleasure to have you at America's National Park of Speed, Road America.